guys, welcome to a new video. She asked me, I said yes, and there was a 5-item swap with Luise Heinzl. I don't even know what I was thinking. I don't know what Luise was thinking when I swapped with her. It was a great honor that she even asked me. It happened sometimes after the ephemera that we go talking, and she asked me and wants that we do the 5-item swap. I had a lot of respect for it, but I still had a lot of fun in the end. If you want to see which 5 pieces I sent Luise, please check her channel. I linked it all in the video description. She has 2 videos for us. So I sent her an envelope for the English video and for the German video, each with 5 items for the swap. And that could also be quite interesting if you haven't seen it yet. This video was made over several days because I really thought a lot about how to do it and how to process the items. And what came out of it? Yes, you can see it now. Stay tuned. The envelope is here. There he is, Nicole. That's me. Yes, you can't imagine how eagerly I've been waiting for this envelope. And I dare not even open it. I open it first. And then I need a little time to think about it. So I can finish the video today, but I just can't keep my hands off this envelope. And if I don't open it today, and will just open it now, I can sleep at night. So, yeah, I hope I don't harm anything and nothing break in it. And we'll see. Oh my gosh. There it is. Okay, I take a quick look, open this up, and take a quick look at what exactly is in here. How pretty, but I'm going to open that up. Hope I don't break anything. I'm just gonna pull it out like this. I am always careful. It's better the other way around. Yes. Deducted without harm. Great. I would have almost thought that it was attached to it. Yes, perfect. Yes, that's cute too. It's so great. I don't even dare to do it probably. I can get this, I hope. I don't want to destroy anything. Ah, you can take it off, I think. I just have a look in here. I just had to grin so much. Hello, my love. The time has come. I hope you are mentally and physically well prepared. Yes, I trained for weeks, definitely. Eaten, slept, refilled with glue, sharpened your scissors. Well, then let's get started. Have fun. If it's fun, we'll see again later. So I have there, yes, how cute is this? Oh my gosh, so cute. Oh, it's only for me. I take a short look. Oh, this is the technique, the new technique of Luise. And now we want to see the items, I think. I'm really excited. You can probably imagine that. And the packaging alone has its own tricks. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Such a wonderful piece of art. How can I open this now? I can't seem to get that. I'll see. I'm so worried. Oh my gosh. Well, anyone who knows Louise's 5 item swaps actually knows pretty well. I this is this handkerchief is guaranteed to be used by me. I think I have to go and take a little break before I start. I'm so afraid. I think I have to have a coffee before I could continue because my nerves can't take it. I'm still looking now. And I may take me a lot of time. It may take me a lot of time to think about what I do first with these 5 parts. But Louise, I see how thick the envelope is. And I think it's very more thicker than yours. Louise, I forgot to send you a handkerchief too. Let's take a look at the 5 items. I take the scissors here. Oh gosh. I hope I don't break anything. That would still be a disaster. 5 items and 4 destroyed. No, everything destroyed, I think. No, I think it's no problem. We try to continue opening. It looks good. Oh my gosh. I just keep it for junk journaling. As I think the material is tidy, isn't it? Well, I think it's always good when you have much material. It's so great. Well, I would say no matter what else comes up today, well, I have rich materials. And Louise, you can say it too, I think. It's close calculated, so you definitely get a pocket out of it. No question about it. The question is how big this pocket is. I think it's a pizza base or something like this, baking paper, and I'm sure I would save it. Oh, looking for a job. Are you motivated and enjoy working with great people? Then apply to us now. It's a good idea, I think. No, it's no good idea. Yes, let's take a closer look. What's still inside here? Yes, it's shiny a little bit. A great cord of arms, I think. I don't know the real word for it. Yes, stamped part. Maybe. Oh, a coffee. Empty coffee pad. Drink by yourself. Okay, we made junk journaling. And a paper doll from Tim Holtz, I think. Yes, it's a paper doll from Tim Holtz. And a beautiful fabric, yes, as I said, so I don't lack material. Now, beautiful. Collar on the back, that's good. I'm good at it. Use it for many things. I have to be honest, it could have hit me worse, I think. And it's okay. You can use it from both sides, I think, and it would be dramatic if you only get a little piece to do a little pocket. Now I have to think about all the items and see you later. So now I have a plan and I'll take you with me. And because you're not here live, but you don't know how exactly where the problems are with these items. I have to explain what we have made, that we have made an additional agreement. Louise and I have a requirement that we try to use we're going to design a pocket, and this pocket, it doesn't really matter what it looks like, but it's supposed to be a bag for the journal, a pocket for the journal. And since we are big distress oxide fans, we try to use, we decided that we use it as our accent color. And our accent color is peel paint. And that's a nice color, and you can see here the swatch I have made. I use it, it's based on Luise's example. If you don't know her videos, which I don't think, then check it out. I've bought new products for this project. I've got the Distress ink pad and the Distress oxide ink pad, and the Distress ink is a little bit darker and crisper. I don't know, a little bit different. The oxide ink is often looks a little bit milky. I don't know. You see the color is different. The Distress ink is a little bit darker. And here I used photo paper, and you see the oxide effects very good on photo paper. The green, the yellow, and the blue tones of peel paint. And there I have used embossing pulver and embossing glaze. And this is my Distress crayon. And you can use it for coloring the Tim Holtz paper doll. And I also try to use my re-inker, and I've bought the Distress spray stain, not the Distress oxide ink spray, because I think I can color more items with the Distress spray stain. This is fabric, for example. Much information about the color. So back to the items, and we take a closer look at the items. An accent color is very well and good, but you have to be able to use it for coloring your paper, your fabric. And this paper is a little bit trickier, I think. It looks like baking paper. It crackles a little bit, and I don't know if you can use any color of it. And yes, I don't know. I just have to test it out. Already have a few ideas in back, but I'm trying it out. How my pocket should look like at first before I use it. And this is a very cardstocky paper. I can use this, and it's not so flimsy like the baking paper. I can really do something. I hope that will help me. And yes, very careful. I would say with the scissors, I open up this coffee pad. This filter could be very nice. I go underwater to take it apart, I think, and I clean it up and use it in white because I don't know if I like the color yet. And I try to use different colors, I think. While the coffee filter was taking apart is drying, I washed it relatively clear. Maybe I like to have it transparent, and I want to make an interesting window or something else out of it. We are definitely going to go with a Distress crayon here. As I said, we are allowed to use all media that exists, so really paste, colors, and embossing glaze. So things like that are all allowed. We are also allowed to use a sewing machine. We might take some additional parts. We might not use additional parts from our stock. And this fabric has a problem. I just say it's a polyester velvet, and this is a synthetic fiber, and it's really sturdy and really thick, but I'm afraid that it's so difficult to color. But I try it out, and that's I use a distress spray stain for it, and we're changing the Tim Holtz paper doll that he looks a little bit friendlier. And as you know, I like this haunted theme, vintage theme too, but maybe we can go a bit into a nature themed area. And yes, and I have got something back in mind. I try to use a little part of this fabric, and I try to figure out if I can use the strip, a little strip, because it's so sturdy, for the pocket I try to create. And I take Bics. Do you know Sizzix Bics? These are dies from Tim Holtz, and you can use it on fabric. And I don't know if it works, but I like to use it here in this project and try just it's like an experiment, I think. I tried to go for the honeycomb bigs, I think. It's the number 659430, I think. And I don't know, sometimes you find this old bigs or alliteration stuff in thrift shops and so on. And now I take it apart and use it in my big shot, I think. I just cut it to size now, because I don't want to lose material. And oh, it's beautiful, perfect. Look at the this die. Don't throw something away. Please look, it's so beautiful and beautiful cut out. I think I going to do it another time. I need 2 parts, I think, and I'm going, when I finished it, I try to color it. Yes, we see it. I got myself a vessel there, and now I'm going to do everything here. I cut off strips and as of this fabric, and this little puzzle thingy things from the honeycomb, and I try to use my spray stain. I don't know if it works, and I can color this fabric. I don't know it. For not fogging too much here and coloring everywhere here, because I use this little thin tin, and I see how it reacts, and it looks good. And I think I can use the distress spray stain for coloring this fabric. I was so happy. There's no oxidation layer on top. That's good, because when I use the oxide sprays, I have often this layer on top, and it is really good colored. It's very intense, and I try to let it air dry, I think. No, I'm not using my heat gun because I'm afraid that the fabric melts because of the heat. I think it's very funny because it looks like forest moss. It is peel paint, but it's so dark. I don't know. I let it air dry, and I think it will be a little bit lighter then. But I don't know. I'll put it aside and we'll see how it looks when it's dry. Yes, and now we take a look at the baking paper. I hope that it's not so similar to baking paper. It's a little bit better, I think. Do you know what I have such a big problem with? With the covering up, I think. Or not using these cool sayings. I would actually like to focus on them, but it just doesn't fit to my idea at all. And I've now decided to do it with a heavy heart because Luise, you choose it really well, but it doesn't fit. I'm not thinking it behaves really better than parchment paper. I have the impression it's more smooth. I'm going to test or try out how adhesive reacts on this piece, and I try out how paint and other media behave on it. So far I have had that left over, and I try to test this for the pocket. But that doesn't matter now. I think that is, I like to glue it together. It's too filigree, and I'm really scared to put a window in here. It can't hear, and also have a pretty good sewing machine, but I don't know. And I have had fewer problems there. It's not very stable. I don't have any cardboard or anything like that, so I can't stabilize it. And no, I don't know if media works. Okay, and it's like ice cream, for example. It's so flimsy. And then, in that case, I take my jelly plate out, I think, and apply with a thin watercolor paint to it. Yes, just make it white for me, and then I try to have more opportunities to use this oil. I will now grab the watercolor tank brush. I find it too gloomy. That's actually one of the paper dolls whose face isn't very light, I think, and we have to do something cool or modern with it. So I find it very cool, for example, if there is an emblem in peeled paint, and yes, the shoes, for example, and then I really look to take collage medium on top, and I don't know, I think we have to color him. Now I take my water tank brush and liquefy the distress crayon I put on this acrylic block, and it absorbs it a little bit, and a little something in on the paper doll is very great, I think. I just noticed that we could still work with embossing glaze, but they would also be translucent or semi-translucent. I don't know. It's okay. It looks very cool with a distressed crayon on top. So I, yes, paint all of it, and the shoes, and it looked like a natural color, I have to say. He's getting wings, I think. I love the nature theme, you know this, as in my apology journal, so a bit. I already sent Luise my journal to for the terrible items I sent to her. It's to say sorry. And yeah, okay, we finished. I will put this aside. I don't know if we paint another thing with peel paint. And now I take my collage medium. I want to yes, to dab with the dabber on the top. Oh, it's very twisted, I think, but it's perforated a little bit. And that means that I can't use it in a whole piece, but that's no problem. I try to make labels out of it, I think, but it's a little bit nasty. So, yes. And I mattify the whole thing with collage medium. We dab over it and mattify it. And if you know, I use it often to cover the shine, and you can cover the distressed crayon also. And I'm dabbing very carefully because of the distressed crayon. Otherwise it will come off, and I don't like that, but I think it's not a problem. And it looks good, and I let it air dry. And I try out here with crackle paint if it is a good solution to use it, and I use glue, and both is good, and I use gesso, and it's good too. Now I have this candle here, and I use it to melt it with a heat gun, to use the wax from the candle to make it translucent. I'm going to break it first, and in little tiny pieces, and use the heat gun and turn the whole thing over. It works really well, and I let it dry, and after that it will be translucent, and that's very fine. It turns out great, and I like the result, and I like the color of the peeled paint honeycomb, and I think we can use to cut we can also use our dies to cut the fabric, our normal thinlits dies. I try to figure it out because I like the die cuts very much, and for the wings we can use the big butterfly die from Tim Holtz, and I try to find out if it works. There's really big piece left of the fabric left, and I cut the strip, and I think I need a longer strip, and I cut out the wings for the paper doll, only the part above and the upper part of the butterfly. And I also try to use other dies, other big dies, big dies L from Sizzix, to cut out a big plant and a big flower. I use 66522 big die to cut out the flower, and I use the other big die. It's the number 664170, and I use it for the plant. Now I try to take out the jelly plate and put the gesso on top of the whole pocket, and I hope that the gesso, that the paper likes the gesso, and it works. And I put many layers of gesso to the pocket, on the pocket, and I think it's a good result. And I only use the gesso on the top where the sentences and words are. I try to give the paper doll the aura of peeled paint, and I take a merry paper. I don't know. I have to distress it before I can use the peeled paint, the color. The color really be picked up here, I think. But first I try it out with Lost Shadow. I don't like it. It's bad. I think it's really better in peel paint, but we can try it later. It will look good on the project. And after that, we use the wings, but I I cut out the wrong piece. I have to do it again. You just see it later in the project. I'm very sorry, but I try to use the wing in another piece of this pocket. Now I dry the peel paint, and I don't glue it on the wax paper because it's yes, a little bit too wet. Because yes, I take this time, and I do this video on many many days, and I let it air dry, and after that I try to glue it down. I also color the flower in peel paint with the Distress spray stain, and now I try to color the aura of the paper doll with peel paint. And after that, I'll put a little bit of collage medium on top, I think. But you can't see this in the video. Yes, it doesn't last on the collage medium anyway, so I take the rest out. And I glue the two honeycombs together and cut a little bit out on the sides. I think it looks very cool. And I have to be careful when cutting. I mark it now so that I don't break anything there. It's very difficult. It's very flimsy and very thin. Then I think I take a pencil to mark lines, but after that I thought that the mini edges are too thin to. I don't use the sewing machine. I can't glue it on top. I just think I make it hand stitched. I'm not gluing down there yet because we have to cut something out at the back. At the back of the pocket, and if he's standing there here now, I'm really going to I can sew it in. Now I tested out. I have made the decision that we have to expand the pocket, and I use the rest of the baking paper for this this expanse. I don't know the really name of this actually configuration. I don't know. I make the pocket longer. And I try to use gesso for it. I cut it out. I glued it down. But I'm really sad because I try to use this paper for other things. I really like to make a tag out of it, but we will see. I think it works, and it's a long process. I decided it after a few minutes, but I think at the end it's very good that I've made this decision. And after that, I take my stencil. I try to use this stencil on top of the gesso, and I try to figure out where this this middle points, I don't know, the centers could be and are looking good. And I think next to the head of the paper doll is a good position of it. And let's see how we can use that. And yes, this middle, I try to colorize with multiple distress oxides, with bundled sage, and with peeled paint, and also with old paper. Now I'm searching for the old paper pad, oxide pad, ink pad, and finally I found it. And I try to use this this brushes to to connect the different colors, and you really get a cool effect, a nice effect, because here you see the result, and it's very okay. It's okay for me. I think the gesso is a little bit is a little problem in the background. I doesn't realize it yet, but it's very problematically. The distress oxides are working, and after a while, the distress inks are very light, I think, and the oxide react a little bit, and we just see it in a moment. Here I am looking for the right position of the flower and the paper doll, and I I see that it will fit for the pocket, and now I realized that it's a very big problem with the collar. You see it on the right side here, left side, sorry. It's very light, and I can't color the inside of the bag. I first I tried to use gesso, but I'm very afraid that it doesn't work. And now I take a photo paper, rest of a photo paper, a waste, to use it as a background. Yes. And use embossing. I try to use embossing glaze and crackle paint. I am going to use another stencil for this, and which looks a bit like a old stone wall, and I think it can be can look very nice with the crackle paste, and I think I apply this to the surface, to the background, and let it dry for a while. You have to do it in one step from the top to the bottom, but you will see that I am very afraid, and I can't do this on camera, but I try to do my very best, and I do it on both sides and the top and the bottom. And after this, I'll try to use embossing glaze, and after that, we have to let it completely dry. And after that, I can take my heat gun and use the heat to melt the embossing glaze. And now we have to try it. After drying this with my heat gun, not drying, but melting the embossing glaze with the heat gun. It dries before the crackle paste must be dry before you can take your heating tool. I realized a big problem. I've forgotten to sew through the edges of the project. And that's a big problem because I'm afraid that I can't use my sewing machine because it's too difficult. But da-da, this is the result. And I was so happy. Wasn't a problem for my sewing machine to sew through the glaze and the crackle paint. And I really was happy about it. And it looks so nice, I think. In little parts, the color of the distress ink is very light. So I try to figure out how I can solve this problem. But first, I try to use my honeycomb on top and sew it with a hand-stitched frame, I think I can say that, to the paper. And I use a normal needle and a normal thread for this. And after a few minutes, I cut out the middle. I left a little piece unsewn, so I can really make it a little bit easier. And I think the result is very good at the end. It really looks nice, but we need something for the inside. And now I try out how I can solve the problem with the color. It's very, very flimsy, soft paper, and the distress oxide soaks into the paper. Now I try to sew again on top, but first I cut a little edge off because I try to make a pocket that I can sew in the signatures. So I need a little bit more space. And now I realize that I didn't give you the number of the stencil from Tim Holtz. It is the THS 086, and I think about using it again on the front of the pocket, but I decided that the crackle paste hasn't the right look for the front page, I think. It's doesn't fit, and so I take out another stencil. So I take the other stencil, THS 006, I think. It's also 86. It's very modern, I think, but it looks really good on the page after I try it out. And it looks better if we stencil with this texture paste, I think. I try it out because I have it in the translucent form, and I think the crackle paste on the back side was opaque, and the opaque and this opaque effect isn't really nice on distress oxides, I think. And with the embossing glaze, it looks a little bit better with the translucent version. I messed around a little bit with the embossing glaze and use it on top. And after that, I let it air dry. And after heat embossing, it looks very nice, and it's really better than the version with the opaque crackle paint on the back side. But the problem isn't solved with the problem with the distress oxide isn't solved yet. So I try to use my stencil again, and I like the result. And after that, I use another die. So I use an old set of thin lids by Sizzix and Tim Holtz to cut out several plants and little flowers. So I use the 6618006, and yes, I use it for the leftovers, the baking paper and the fabric. And the baking paper I try to use for a tag. Now I'm embossing the edges of the pocket with black soot, because I think it's a too light version of a pocket and I like it a little bit more darker, and now it's I love the result. I put a film into a transparent film into this pocket because I like to use my stencil again to color the lighter. You can see it here very good. The lighter parts of the distress oxides, because it is soaked into the pocket, and that's my tag. I put it in. I try to put it into the pocket, and I think I have to use gesso because I glue front and back together and it's very flimsy and very soft. So I hope the gesso will stabilize the tag a little bit. After putting gesso on the tag, I use my Distress Oxide ink for coloring it a little bit. I used bundle sage and old paper, and I made little accents with peeled paint. And after this, I put the leftover wing on the front side of the tag, and I try to use a quote or a stamp on the back side. And I think it will be nice to use the darker bundled sage on the edges of the tag, and I try to use one more time embossing glaze for the background. I have cut out the edges, and I use black soot one more time to distress the edges a little bit, that it will look a little bit nicer and a little bit darker. I cut out a reinforcer, and before I cut out a little hole into the top of the tag, and I take my peel paint to colorize it, and after that I glue it on top of the tag. I take the little strip from the beginning of the video and put it into the hole with the reinforcements. After sewing the edges, I take the stamp set number CMS 396, the field notes, and stamp a little bit and try to make some labels. And I try to make the background with the papillon stamp set from Stampers Anonymous by Tim Holtz. And this has got the number CMS 106 or 106. And here you can see that I stamp it with my embossing pad. And here I'm using the embossing glaze from peel paint to make it ready for the wing, for gluing the wing down. it's very nice. I think it's a nice result, and I think there are splashes missing. I think I'll try to use gold splashes and black splashes a little bit, and after that I do the quote on the back side. And I like to use the little flowers I have cut out. And here you can see that I do also splatters on the cut out flowers. Here you can see that I punch out a little round closure for the coin envelope, and I use peel paint to color it, and after that I sew it to the top of the coin envelope with a hand needle stitch, and I am really proud of the result. I am really proud of this result because it's very difficult with little items, with this little leftover pieces. And now I'm using a black suit to distress the flowers a little bit because they are looking too new to me. And yes, I'm using a thread, a strip I've cut out at the beginning for the closure, and after this I glue down all the pieces on the front side and on the back side of the pocket. And we really need more splatters. I cover up the face and the hands and splatter with gold paint and with black paint. I think it's a really good addition to the background, and it looks really nicer with splatters. And here you can see that I glue down all the little rest pieces. I have stamped with the field note sets, and now I try to figure out how I can stamp on the front. I use another Tim Holtz set with the number. I use a 665930 to cut out these labels. I've covered it up with wax so it looks a little bit gold, and I think it looks a little bit finer and nicer, and it was a little bit tricky because it soaks into the paper, but after this episode I have no problem with it. And now you can see that I write down with my with a marker, one day someone is going to hug you so tight that all of your broken pieces fit back together. And this is a quote from a Tim Holtz stamp set. I haven't got this set yet, but I try to give you the number of it. I love this quote because it's a set ponderings, and I think when you have an episode in your life that is that you have many ponderings, and there is someone who comes into your life and take all pieces together. It's really fine, and I think this quote is a very nice quote, and I really want to use it. I've already used crackle paste on the tag, crackle paint, and I've mixed it with the acrylic paint from P-Paint, and after that I take black soot to ink it. And you can see I added many of the cut out pieces and the leftover pieces because you can put it together, and I think it's really nice. It's a really nice addition to the quote. Here you can see the end result, and I'm very proud that I have made this 5-item swap with Luise. It looks really nice, and here you can see that you can see the quote, and I really like it. I used a little label from the feed note stamp set and the flower with wax paper, and yes, with the rests, with the leftovers from the flowers and from the fabric are really nice. It looks really great with the crackle paste on it. And now I have to say that many thanks to Luise for doing this 5-item swap with me. I really appreciate it. I was so proud that she does this swap, or this 5-item swap with me. And thank you so much for watching. It wasn't easy for me to do this English version of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.